Supreme Court nullifies Atiku Obi's petition against Tinubu. Former President Goodluck Jonathan has visited President Bola Tinubu. An Islamic cleric in Zamfara State advocates for collective efforts to end security challenges in Nigeria. The Voice of Ariwa has urged the federal government to do everything humanly possible to rescue students in captivity. You said Nigeria hands over 59,000 cartons of RUTF food to 3 states. And in business news, Akwa Ibom government seals 2 banks over alleged tax evasion. And in international scene, Israel ground forces raid central Gaza as war enters 21st day. And in sports updates, Major League announced fan list for the 2023 Year-Ends Awards. Hello and thanks for joining us. That was the headlines for Standard Voice Television News. I am Rahama Ibrahim Desra with the news info. The Supreme Court, in its ruling on Thursday, nullified the appeals by the presidential candidates of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, and his Labour Party counterparts, Peter Obi, against President Tinubu. President Tinubu was the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress in the just concluded election. The Supreme Court nullified the petitions in a unanimous judgment on Thursday. A 7-judge panel ruled without merit the opposition appeals over claims of fraud, electoral law violations, and Tinubu's ineligibility to run for president. On the whole, having resolved all the issues against the appellants, it is my view that there is no merit in the appeal and it is hereby dismissed, Judge Inyang Okoro said in dismissing Atiku's appeal. The judgments of the court below, delivered on September 6, 2023, affirmed the election of the second respondents as the July elected presidents of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is hereby affirmed. The House of Representatives has called on the federal government to concession the operations and management of the railway systems in Nigeria. This followed the adoption of a motion moved by Sadisoli Jibia from Katsina State at the plenary. Presenting the motion, he said the rail systems has an endless value chain that contributes to job creation, service efficiency, infrastructure development, and economic growth. Soli also said despite huge investment to revive the rail's transportation system, the performance of the Nigerian Railway Corporation has been on a continuous decline compared to contemporaries in the sector. He, however, lamented that successive administration have failed to develop an efficient and functional rail systems in Nigeria. The Chief Imam also called on all the former governors of Zamfara State, traditional rulers, ulamas, politicians, as well as other stakeholders on security to chew their difference and to rescue the state from total collapse. Imam Jengebe also called on federal, state governments and the management of the Federal University Gusau to strategize more efforts to rescue the abducted students of the university. The United States Agency for International Development Nigeria has hosted partners to a handover ceremony of over 59,000 cartons of ready-to-use therapeutic food to the governments of Kebbi, Sokoto, and Bauchi states, which will be managed through the government's drug revolving fund mechanisms. Reports gathered that the ready-to-use therapeutic food is complementary food used to treat severe acute malnutrition in under 5 children. In the past, the cost and availability of the ready-to-use therapeutic food in Nigeria has been a barrier for health centers to have enough. In the past, the cost and availability of ready-to-use therapeutic food in Nigeria has been a barrier for health centers to have enough RUTF supplied. Now, by working with the GON health centers, health centers will have access to an affordable and sustainable supply of ready-to-use therapeutic foods. Reports gathered that the Integrated Health Program works to address malnutrition by equipping healthcare workers with skills to administer the ready-to-use therapeutic food and has also supported the upgrade of local facilities to serve as distribution centers. In an effort to address the critical issues that plague the country, especially insecurity, which remains on the lips of every Nigerian, a non-governmental organization, Voice of Ariwa, has urged the federal government to, as a matter of urgency, do everything humanly possible to rescue students who are in captivity safely and unhurt. The call came barely after a report by Daily Trust newspaper, which shows that about 1,158 people were kidnapped between June to October this year. According to the president of the Voice of Ariwa, Dr. Captain Abubakar Jamil, everyday Nigerians face the harsh realities of kidnappings, street begging, unemployment, and deplorable living conditions, hence the need to address the menace. Also speaking, the Vice President of the Voice of Ariwa, Dr. Nabila Yusuf, called on the federal government to intensify security across the 19 northern states to put an end to this kidnapping that has continued to raise its ugly head. Dr. Nabila added that there is also a need for the government to fence all public schools since kidnappers' targets are public schools. The Vice President therefore said the bottom line or sources of all these kidnappings and other social issues is poverty, hence the need for the government to do all it takes in its reach to focus on empowering especially youths for the set goals to be achieved. Former President Goodluck Jonathan has visited President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa in Abuja, the nation's capital. The visit comes 24 hours after the Supreme Court upheld Tinubu's election in the keenly contested February 25, 2023 presidential poll. Though the reason for Jonathan's visit could not be ascertained, he, however, could be seen in a video congratulating Tinubu on the Supreme Court's verdict. Briefing journalists after the closed-door meeting with the president, Jonathan said his visit was to inform President Tinubu of some of his recent foreign engagements as well as some sundry issues affecting the country. Bandits attacked and killed an unspecified number of residents in Nasrawa village of Maru local government area of Zamfara state. The invaders stormed the area in the early hours of today and shot sporadically to scare residents. They were said to have arrived at the local government in large numbers, heavily armed. Police authorities in the state are yet to confirm the latest attack, as the State Police Command spokesman Yazid Abubakar did not respond to phone calls put across to him. However, a resident of the town who pleaded anonymity because of security reasons told newsmen that the troops of the Operation Hadarin Daji responded swiftly to a distress call and engaged the terrorists in a heavy gun duel that lasted for over 2 hours. Noting that there was no confirmation if any resident was abducted during the attack, confirming that 3 persons were killed, including an aged man identified as Malam Isa. It could be recalled that earlier this year, a divisional police officer in the Maru local government area and 2 other police officers were killed while repelling a similar attack on the local government headquarters. The National and State Assembly Election Petition Tribunal in Sokoto State dismissed 3 petitions against the elections of Senator Aliyu Wamako, Abdul Samad Dasuki, and Bala Hassan today. Wamako is representing Sokoto North Senatorial District on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, while Dasuki of the People's Democratic Party is representing Tambuwal and Kebbi Federal Constituency in Sokoto. Hassan is also representing Sokoto North, Sokoto South Federal Constituency under the umbrella of the APC. In a unanimous judgment read by the chairperson, Justice Josephine Oyefeso, on behalf of other justices, Haruna Muhammad and A.K. Eze, the panel upheld the elections and dismissed the petition for lack of merit. Oyefeso said the petitioners were unable to prove the allegations contained in the petitions beyond reasonable doubt as required by law. And in business news, Akwa Ibom State Government, through its Internal Revenue Service, has sealed 3 banks for their alleged failure to remit outstanding tax liabilities of about 228 million naira to the state government. The banks were shut down during an exercise conducted by the Revenue Board's Enforcement and Recovery Department, following an order of notice of the strain from the Akwa Ibom State High Court, Eket Judicial Division. The affected banks included 2 Keystone Bank branches at Abak Road and Ikots Ekpain Road, Uyo, and Heritage Bank located at Aka Road, Uyo. Briefing journalists in Uyo, the board's executive director, Enforcement and Recovery, Leo Umana, said Heritage Bank failed to remit its 1,270,910 naira tax liabilities to the state, while Keystone Bank refused to pay 128,413,882 naira owed to the state government as tax liabilities. According to him, under the law, the banks that are served the notice to the strain have 14 days to negotiate with Akwa Ibom Internal Revenue and vacate the order. And an international scene. As the conflict reached into its 21st day, there was no let-up in Israel's relentless strikes on the Gaza Strip, with European leaders calling for humanitarian pauses to allow in critically needed aid. According to Israeli officials, Israel has been bombarding the Palestinian territory since Hamas gunmen stormed across the border on October 7th, killing 1,400 people, mostly civilians, and kidnapping more than 220 others. So far, Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry says the strikes have killed more than 7,000 people, mostly civilians, and many of them children. As concerns spiraled over the fate of the 2.4 million Palestinians trapped under the relentless bombardment, European Union leaders called for continued rapid, safe, and unhindered humanitarian access and aid to reach those in need through all necessary measures. In a swift response, Israel called for Hamas demanding the release of the 224 hostages in snatch on October. In a swift response, Israel called for Hamas demanding the release of the 224 hostages it snatched on October 7th that include a mix of Israelis and foreign nationals. Hamas armed wing said that almost 50 hostages have been killed in the bombardments, in a claim that could not be independently verified. And on sports updates, Major League Soccer announced finalists for the 2023 MLS Year-Ends Awards, with Atlanta United's Thiago Almada and Inter Miami's Lionel Messi among the top names. Almada, of 22 years, who tallied 11 goals and a league-high 19 assists, is a finalist for London Donovan MVP, as well as Major League Soccer Young Player of the Year. According to MLS, for this award, newcomer is defined as a player who had previous professional experience and made his Major League Soccer debut in 2023. The winners are scheduled to be announced throughout the 2023 Major League Soccer Cup playoffs. And that's all we have for today's package, but before we go, let's take a recap of the major headlines. Supreme Court nullifies Atiku Obi's petition against Tinubu. Former President Goodluck Jonathan has visited President Bola Tinubu. An Islamic cleric in Zamfara State advocates for collective efforts to end security challenges in Nigeria. The Voice of Ariwa has urged the federal government to do everything humanly possible to rescue students in captivity. You said Nigeria hands over 59,000 cartons of RUTF food to 3 states. And in business news, Akwa Ibom government seals 2 banks over alleged tax evasion. And in international scene, Israel ground forces raid central Gaza as war enters 21st day. And in sports updates, Major League announced fan list for the 2023 Year-Ends Awards. And that was a recap for the major headlines for Standard Voice Television News. I am Rahama Ibrahim Dusara, saying bye for now. Keep watching Standard Voice Television.